Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of the Super Mega Riftbound Podcast. Eli and I are back from Hartford. We're going to talk about our performances, a lot of news that has come out in the past few days, including the $115,000 sold Best of Ari. Korea is now getting Riftbound, and a lot more. Enjoy the episode, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Episode 27 coming right at you. We're nearly to our 30s here at the Super Mega Riftbound Podcast. But we aren't too old. Today we're my age. We're 27 right now, and we're gonna come at you with some really fun discussion topics today. So first things first, Teddy and I just got back from Hartford. Gail just got back from a cruise. Yay!
That's not Riftbound.
That's not Riftbound.
No one cares about that.
Cruise bound.
Riftbound on a cruise.
We did play on the cruise.
There you go. So it was a Riftbound event.
You brought Infinite on the cruise. So you just played and your wife just watched you play. That's what I'm hearing.
All right. Well, let's talk about it a little bit. Last week in Riftbound, Gail, you have the least, I think. So why don't you go ahead and lead us in on your last week?
Yeah, I can go in. Mostly what I've been doing is just practicing the Lux deck. I'll be going to Dallas and Pittsburgh, and I'm pretty set on bringing that. So I've been practicing it and getting it in, and I played it for the first time, really the second time, but this is the first time with the full combo one. I used to play a bit more, a one that gave the opponents a bit more interaction. So this is the first time I played full combo Lux at a local, and it was not a good time. It just was not a good time. My round one opponent, I played and I did the loop, and he's like, okay, great, enjoy your set. And that was it. And it just felt bad, but totally fine for him, right? This is not a dig at him at all. It's just it's not great to be that person.
I mean, what else are you going to do as the opponent too, right? You
I
have to say that because you can't do anything else. Just got to sit there and
what are you going to do?
Take it.
Yeah. So it's not a pleasant feeling, but I think I'm still going to take this to these two events because this is a type of deck that I've never played before. Because again, new to TCGs. So this concept is very interesting. The spreadsheets and the stuff in the back is very cool. But playing it in person did not feel very good.
Yeah, it's a rite of passage for every new TCG player to play the deck where it's like, oh man, this is everyone's least favorite deck to play against in their room. It's just a different experience.
Yeah.
It's a totally different experience.
I didn't play Miracle.
You didn't play Miracle.
That's true.
But even with Miracle and even with stuff like Aurora, I don't think it was to this extent because even though there was little interaction to be had against a deck like Miracle, there was still interaction to be had.
Yeah.
And you could play the Miracle Mirror and it was there was a lot of interaction within that matchup.
Yeah.
It is different when you are playing a combo deck like this where there is just zero interaction window for your opponent. That makes it a little bit more interesting. It's there's a couple concepts called FTKs in card games.
Yeah.
Oftentimes in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, it's first turn kill, right? This is like playing an FTK in Riftbound, where
so it's just an OTK. So
it's an OTK with this, but it's not even an OTK because in Riftbound you have to pass the turn since it's not playing Renata in the main board. At least most of them are not playing Renata in the main board that I saw. You have to pass the turn, which is your turn anyway because you've time warped into it being your turn once again. But there is more than one turn of it happening before killing your opponent.
2 TK.
But yeah, I sympathize with that, Gail. There are decks in card games that I have foregone playing in the past that were interesting to me just because it was a bad experience for the opponents that I played against. So I definitely get that.
Yeah. So it's okay. I'll be the bad guy for a few weeks. But Teddy, tell us how your Hartford experience was.
Yeah.
My Hartford experience was very good. First off, I just want to say again, thank you to Diana and the whole team at Riot for inviting me out as a creator. It was really cool to be able to meet up with all these people that I've met online and kind of talk to, and just everyone has their cameras out and doing some amazing things. So that was really fun. Competitively, I got top 8 in Super Saturday. I went 6-1 with LeBlanc, winning in versus Annie, which is not a matchup LeBlanc is supposed to win more often than not. I think it's only a 30% win rate. And being able to pull that out was really good. Top 8 split, almost didn't split, but that's a story for another time. And so, but yeah, that was very rewarding to see that come to fruition. And I've been practicing LeBlanc so much just for that event. and it's not like it's even the main event, but I still top 8 of a 400-person tournament is still very good.
Yeah,
So I'm proud of that. And yeah, Hartford was great. I'm super excited that I got to go. Super excited for LA. Like 95% sure that I'm going because I have 4 medal cards and I can move a few of them to make some money open for that event. So that's gonna be really fun. First time in Los Angeles too, which I think I'm excited for. It's gonna be a short trip for me. It'll only be Friday through Monday. I think I have a flight planned out that's going to get me into LA at like 8 a.m. So I'll still be able to go to and do all the Friday stuff, which will be nice, and then kind of play through the weekend. Yeah, a very good Hartford experience. Eli, how was yours?
Yeah, we actually stayed at the same Airbnb, which that's also a story for another day. This Airbnb is one of the worst Airbnb experiences I've ever had. Renting any Airbnb. Gil, we can talk about it later, but man, that was a rough one.
We also before you continue, Eli, we also got rear-ended. Gil, I don't know if you knew this. Yeah, that's our other horror story. We got rear-ended on the way to Hartford. Everything's okay. The car's okay. But yeah, it was an experience to say the least.
Riftbound wise, the weekend was excellent for both of us. Outside of the convention hall, it was a rough weekend. There was a lot that went wrong, a lot that went right, but a lot that went wrong. But for my weekend in Riftbound, I did not top 8 Super Saturday. I went 4-3 in that event. I queued 2 Lilias for my last 2 matchups with my Azir deck, and that matchup is very, very rough for me, unfortunately.
That's interesting. It's interesting because a lot of people tell me that Azir should just wash Lilia.
Is that your experience?
I hear too.
That is not my experience. Let's be clear. Not my experience.
Yeah. That is not my experience whatsoever.
I feel like
I did beat one of them, to be fair. I went 50-50 in the matchup overall, but I opened triple Eye of the Heralds going first in the game that I won, like the match that I won. So I was very, very ahead that game, regardless of what the Lilia was doing. So I think that was a little bit of a fluke of a victory. But I think that matchup's quite rough for Azir personally. That matchup was really bad. Yeah, I went 4-3 in Super Saturday, but it was okay because I had secured my medal day 1. I went undefeated in the pre-regional.
There you go.
So that was a very nice experience. So I went undefeated in that. With the pre-regional, for those who don't know, it's 5 rounds, so you go for a split in the regional because it guarantees 38-37 tickets for both players. So you get a pretty close to a medal card on the first day. I was able to get the other 3 tickets, no problem. I told my opponent, hey, you could have the 38. Just mark me as a win, so I'm undefeated in the pre-regional. So I went 5-0 in the pre-regional qualifier. Yeah. And played Azir in that as well. Very, very fun time. It was awesome. I got a medal Diana that first day. And then I also played in the rebound. So I just did the full suite of competitive events that wasn't the main event because I couldn't get into that, unfortunately. I did well in the rebounds. I split last round. I was X2. So I have 4-2 in the rebounds and then split, I think is how it works, or 3-2 split, something like that. But I got a rune pack for that. So I got
those are cool.
The fancy, the fancy rune packs.
I like those.
They're awesome. I actually split last round with Violet, the person who won Best of Vi, not this event, but the event beforehand. Very, very nice. Every single opponent I played this weekend was a blast to play into. I played into a French player that pronounced LeBlanc like Leblanc every single time they played it. And it was absolutely wonderful.
Having Gretton casting it every time he said LeBlanc was Leblanc was like
Leblanc. It was so beautiful. It was like I would just like stare at my opponent every single time they said it, and he probably thought I was a fucking weirdo. But
you probably were.
You are.
I was fawning over his accent. But yeah.
Gail, you're gonna laugh at this. So after we had done our top 8 split, I walk over to the prize wall. I'm looking at what medals are left, and I see LeBlanc is available. I knew that some of my Merc guys were interested in tickets, so I left to go talk to them and then come back. By the time I had come back, LeBlanc was gone, and that was going to be my first one. And so my hope
sounds like a rookie mistake to me.
Literally, I was like, "How do you walk away, Teddy? How do you walk away from the prize wall?"
Well, I have LA to get one. That's my goal on LA is to get one.
There you go. Yeah, that's why I was happy with Diana. I had the option to get some of the more expensive ones, but I wouldn't have played those ones, and I will play Diana. And so I'm going to have her in my legend zone until she rotates out, and then hopefully sell her off for a fair amount. But I'm very excited for the rest of the events. upcoming, I just wanted to highlight again with this week in Riftbound, every player I played against, with the exception of one opponent who I think was just having a bad day after not really performing how they wanted to. So I'm not even going to put it on them. Everyone was amazing. It was an excellent weekend. Everyone I talked to was having a blast playing Riftbound. It just felt like a big old community, and that was really nice to see.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot.
It's a great time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the first like 3 rounds of an RQ feels like a nice friendly Nexus night. Yeah. And then it gets into like a more competitive, which is still nice and friendly, but it definitely like
more.
It's impressive that there is a Nexus night feeling at all, is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. And I also played in the Super Nexus night too. I'm not going to do that one again if I'm in the 3 tournaments. That one went a bit too late for me. Made coming in the day afterward a bit difficult for sure. But that was also really fun. Doorbuster prizes, people were having a blast. I was so surprised by the amount of people that were there that weren't playing in any of the competitive events and were just there to have a great time. Like, that's so cool to see that people are traveling out just to do side events. Some of our friends, Candace and Zealous, were able to, why'd I say Candace and then the username? Candace and Joseph were able to do 2v2 side events, husband and wife together, and come out with 4 medal cards after a full weekend of 2v2 side events. Like, how cool is that? That's just so fun. So I enjoyed it a lot, and I cannot wait for my next RCQ experience. Would heavily recommend going if you have not been able to yet.
Yeah, if there's one like relatively close to you, you can travel. Like, if you're on the West Coast at all, and you're like, okay, LA is like manageable. I know it's LA, so it's going to be expensive for like hotels and all that. But like, if you can swing it, I'd highly recommend it. Like, Hartford as a city was actually pretty nice. I didn't like mind the city. It's felt like an interesting location to choose for an RCQ. But I obviously know they have a very big convention center that is able to handle.
They were also kind of smashed because World Cup is in New York right now.
That's also true.
So yeah, you can't do anywhere within that vicinity, or you just get demolished by traffic or convention hall costs and stuff like that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Hartford was a great experience. I think at least Gail and I, potentially Eli, will be in LA. Gail, I know you're doing a bunch of upcoming Showdown series stuff, right?
Yep. I will be at PPG Dallas, and I will also be at Excalibur Pittsburgh.
Nice.
Okay. Milwaukee for set 4? Question mark?
Yeah, but that's set 4.
That's set 4. Set 3.
Yeah, that's the remainder of set 3. Those are the 2 events.
Yeah, those are the 2 set 3 events.
I will say it's kind of nice not having to worry about like a competitive event that's in this meta anymore. That I can just kind of relax until reveals come out for set 4, and then once everything's out for set 4, then I can start.
Do what though?
Yeah, you gotta practice.
That's what I'm like. I'm like, I had a moment because I originally wasn't going to go to PPG, but then I realized Milwaukee was set 4, and I'm like,
yep,
I need to have events for set 3 because I put practice into this, and I'm not just going to one event. Like, I can't just do one event and let this practice that I've spent just feel like it felt like it was going to waste suddenly when I realized that Milwaukee was a set 4.
Well, isn't I guess one more event with Excalibur is what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the PPG is my one more because I was always going to go to Pittsburgh, and I added on PPG.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, honestly, I think that this meta is one of the more healthy metas in a card game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I would love to be playing more events in this meta. Like, I just would love to play more because it's really healthy and a lot of fun to play. A lot of my tournament, right? I played a total of, I went 8 plus the 5 winner. So 13 wins, 5 losses on the weekends, right? And I played against only 5 matchups the entire time. I didn't play a single Aurora. I didn't play anything, a single Diana, actually. I didn't even play one Diana the entire weekend. And that's a testament because I only played in the competitive events where everyone was grinding out Master Yi and all of the like really good decks.
Yeah.
So it was super interesting to me that the meta is so wide and so diverse that I can go an entire weekend without playing like many of the matchups that I had prepped for going into this event. So I thought that was really cool.
Is also strange for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like TCG tendencies. I think that this is what happened to Ali Eldrazi. His Aurora list was the Triple Baron single Elder.
Mm-hmm.
That was
And
cool.
it's like
that Bloody piloted to Best of Sivir, I believe, as well.
Yes. But Ali didn't end up making it with this list. And I think this list ends up being a little too overcooked because it's reacting to competitive meta in a way that if you ever hit the RQ meta, which is very different, it kind of doesn't work as well. Having one Elder means you will, like, on average, lose the games. Like, Baron flipping onto a field against a deck that can get over it is just so awful for you.
Yeah.
It loses you the game on the spot. But it's better into the decks that are doing their main plan is like Starcrossed, where Starcrossed would completely shut out Aurora, and now it doesn't. So I think that deck ended up being a little bit too cooked up to be as consistent as it needed to be.
It was cool. It was definitely a cool list.
Yeah.
And I think if you hit your Dianas and you hit your Yees and you hit your stuff like that, I think it's really solid. Like, I think it would definitely do it as what it was made to do. But if you hit some of those off-meta matchups, I'm fully in agreement with you. Like, it gets hard sometimes. And that's something that I think is just so cool about Riftbound is you have to prepare for everything. Everything has to be on your radar because you might spike the one person in the room who's doing phenomenally. He's 8-0 on freaking, I don't know.
Gutter Palace Jhin.
Gutter Palace Jhin,
KS?
for example. Yeah. Shout out KS, by the way. Amazing deck list. Really liked that cook. Fantastic job building that. Super well done. I know that you happen to be a friend of one of our mutual friends. So, hey, if you want to come on the podcast, let us know. But we appreciated that list a lot. I personally liked it a lot. I definitely started sleeving it up and then realized it was an infinite. My opponents were going to hate me and then started de-sleeving it immediately afterward. But it's cool. It looks really, really cool. And across the board, right, we saw a slew of very, very cool meta adaptations this tournament for a lot of the champions, especially set one champions that were trying to get that last best of for their champion. Definitely some cool lists coming out of the woodwork for that. But had a less diverse top 8 overall, right? We had 3 Dianas in top 8 this time. We had a Ezreal, a Pyke, a Lux, a Yi.
Which one is? That was it. That's it.
Annie, Prismat.
Yep. Oh, I guess there was Annie. Yeah. He's always there. He like slips my mind. Actually,
he's just such a
Did
lot.
you see that his average placement in RQs, by the way, is
12.
like 11?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, like that's absolutely. It's the only person who has a better average placement is like freaking Squirtle.
Yeah,
because he's just spiked both of them. Like, that's insane.
I had like a 5-minute conversation with Prismat, like because I played Annie on Friday night just for something different because I was going into the like Super Nexus night. I was like, oh, if I do bad with LeBlanc, I'm gonna start second guessing myself. So I took Annie, and before I started, we were all like, it was actually really cool because all like the pro players and like those high level players would just come over to the creator area to talk after, which I did not know was a thing, but I think that was really cool to see that. Just kind of the creators and pro players hanging out together. I was talking with them. Okay, I asked him what's the one thing I need to do if I'm going to succeed with Annie. He goes, keep your units alive. So I tried that and it worked. Surprisingly, just kidding, not surprisingly.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy how good he is and just how efficient he is with that deck. And I'm curious to know what he's going to cook up next.
Prismat is a player that radically prefers complex board states. I think when he plays, he has the option to simplify in ways that are still beneficial, but he chooses purposefully to keep the board states more complex because games generally aren't played at a complex level like that. The best example of this was, I think, Vegas, Colin versus Prismat. And those board states were some of the most complex board states that I have seen in any feature match because they're both playing these very weird mid-range build-up base decks. And that's just something we don't generally see right now because we're playing a lot of Dianas, we're playing a lot of Master Keys, we're playing a lot of Aurelias, and these things that are playing for tricks and playing for tempo in that way. Not saying that Annie isn't, but it's mostly board-based tempo and not spell-based tempo. So board-based tempo is something that people are really uncomfortable with just because of the way that combat works in this game, and that's something that Prismat is able to hone in, identify as his strength, and really utilize against people as a knife that they get very uncomfortable in these complex situations. most of the time people just start making a move because they're like, I've never seen a state like this. And they just make a mistake, a small one, and then it capitalizes and it cascades from there.
Well, I think the thing with honestly, Annie as well is like Annie, you always have runes up, and that can freak your opponents out too a little bit. Because like if you are able to leave 3 up and you have like a purple, everyone in their mom is going to be scared of Starcrossed in that situation. And I think that's the thing that also Annie provides is you have this board state that's complex and built up, but you also have the threat of anything, more or less anything being played when you have at least 3 runes up in that deck.
Yeah, it's really cool. I also think like that tends to lead into Prismat's past as a Teemo player as well, right? Where Teemo really excels at creating difficult board states to read, and kind of translating that over to this Annie deck. I'm in full agreement, Gail. I think that if you know that you are the better player than your opponent, or you can strongly deduce that you're the better player than your opponent, you are going to win out on those complex states the large majority of the time. And so if you continuously set them up, they will swing in your favor more often than not. So I think that's a really interesting way to look at the game when you're performing at a top level like that, and a good way to look at the game.
OG's also going to help you Prismat. Used to be the go-to baited hook Darius player. So he would be doing the same thing with that deck too. He's always done this same sort of idea where he plays a lot of guys and he knows exactly how to utilize the guys and how many to send. This is also like directly my weakest part of the game too. With what do you do with all of your guys in base? This is your board. This is all you have are guys. How do you do that? How do you win with that? That's why I was talking about like a way to train Riftbound is imagine every card is just its cost is equal to its might. And that's the only thing you have are vanilla units in your hand. And just how do we approach the game from that level? What is winning? How do we stack? How do we play? How do we move? Is there skill expression in that? And I think it's a really interesting way to teach the game.
Yeah,
there is skill expression. I love that gameplay. That is the largest reason I prefer token decks to any other decks, is because I really like the gameplay of, okay, I have a certain amount of resources that I can expend toward my opponent here. They are aware of the amount of resources I have because they're all spelled out in front of them on the board. How do I play this where even though they know what is coming at them, I still am advantaged in this situation? I love that gameplay. And on the opposite coin, I could use my tricks better, and I could use my things that are not like board based a lot better often. So I'm with you on that, where it's like I think it's a very skillful expression of the game. I am fairly good at that, but I'm not as good in other avenues as the players like in their other avenues, right? So it's really, you just got to combine them all together. You got to make the melting pot, or you have to so fully specialize in one specific aspect that you're by far and above the best player in that like area of the game.
I have found that I am just like the aggro player. I am a lot worse at trying to figure out these control piles. I can pilot them, but deck building the control piles are very hard for me because that's the whole puzzle, right? For control decks, it's not really piloting necessarily. It can be a little bit, but most of that is the deck construction for a good control deck. And I think I just don't have the brain for the control deck version. I don't think that is my skill set. I think I am able to identify a lot of the best a lot of the best aggro play styles, and a lot of the best aggro play patterns. So I think maybe I should just focus in on that instead of trying to do other things.
If you hone the thing you're the best at, you'll be the best at it, right? And so
it's so interesting because like LeBlanc doesn't really fit in any of like the themes of playstyles that I've played before. Like I've always been the control player. Like when I saw Diana, I'm like, oh yeah, Diana's what I'm gonna play. But Diana never stuck for me. It was a deck that like it's like dating like Lorcana was the game I played the most, and like I always just played, for those who played Lorcana, I played red purple control the entire time that I was in that game. Which is just we just spell it to destroy all units on the board, and it was basically get to that and then profit after. And that's kind of like LeBlanc, but not necessarily, because you kind of are waiting until the end. Actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, that definitely is LeBlanc.
LeBlanc is in fact a control deck in my opinion.
LeBlanc, I would almost call a combo deck too.
That's actually. Also true.
Yeah.
The combo,
But
the combo
it kind
deck,
of melds the archetypes a bit.
yeah, it's not like cookie cutter and how the deck works because obviously like the style of LeBlanc is you're supposed to wait, and then one turn play all of your shit. But that's also not how I've played it a little bit. And like, so I'm more of a, I'll use my units when I need to and not just leave them in base because I feel like sometimes in this meta you have to. Uh, and so it's very Riftbound's a game which is very interesting to see all these different play styles come together because it's a game I've never played a game where all these people like have their specialty. Like I feel like in like past games or other games, these high level players can play multiple different archetypes because there isn't as much to worry about in the competitive scene. Like you're not having to worry about 40 different legends in other games. You have to worry about like 5 or 6 different good colors that you're going to see or color combinations. But now every single legend is going to do something a little bit differently, even if it's innately the same colors and innately the same play style. It's going to be doing something differently, and you have to counter for that. So then that's why We're Fun, I think, is one of the best games, if not the best game I've played, is because there's so like it's a great game to play with your friends that you can just say, okay, here's 2 decks, we can play them. Like if you have simple decks, but then when you start getting down to the nitty gritty and the competitiveness and knowing what's in your opponent's deck, and I think that's something that I've realized is I don't need to know what like is innately going to be in my opponent's deck specifically. I just need to know what are good cards in like what are the good cards in each color. Okay, so when I sit down, if I'm playing like a Vex, for example, I know what good cards are in these colors, and then as the game goes on, I progress. Okay, what am I actually looking for specifically for this matchup too? So
well, that's because we're getting to the point in the game's lifestyle where we need to start focusing more on heuristics instead of
yeah,
fully thought out game plans. In set 1, games were almost deterministic based on what you're drawing. Like for my games, I basically knew exactly how a game was going to progress based on what cards were drawn and yada yada and how to interact with all of that. And that's just not feasible in set 3 at all. We have too many cards. There's too many cards that can be run in decks. There's too many decks that are run. So now we're starting to get to the point in this game where we have to start developing fundamentals at a faster rate and heuristics at a more accurate rate. And a lot of this gets super contextual for the colors and the archetypes that we're playing into, which gets very difficult. I think Riftbound, I'd have to actually, let's open this to other TCG players. How much more complicated are Riftbound heuristics compared to Magic heuristics?
Why don't you give us a heuristics definition for those who might not know what it means, Gail?
Heuristics are basically what is the general best play that I could take at this moment? And you ask this question every time you're about to make any move, essentially.
Yeah, so that is a good question. In the comments below, let us know what you think, right? Like this whole conversation is so interesting because different players coming from different TCGs are all going to have a different take on this because it's going to be slightly different per the metas that have existed in your game and all of the things that have led up to this point where we're sitting here in Riftbound talking about this. It's a very cool conversation topic. I'm interested to hear what the community has to say about it. Me personally, I think a lot of the game right now is feel. You gotta feel out exactly how your opponent is playing, what they're playing toward. I know I caught a bunch of opponents this weekend by playing toward a Rise, even when I didn't have a Rise in my hands, and really making them think that I had it. So they have to take a suboptimal line to deal with the Arise coming out. That was one of my personal adaptations I made this weekend. It was a lot of fun, but I think overall the game is just so complex and only going to get more complex as legends are added in. We did have our soft rotation, which we can talk about in a second here. So the RCQ meta specifically might look a little bit different than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Very different than what we've seen in the past with all the set 1 soft rotating out. But that also means we get to follow our favorite pro players and see what Colin is going to pick up next now that Set has soft rotated. See what Prismat is going to end up going to. It's a very interesting time in Riftbound, and I'm here for it.
Well, I think before I answer your question, Gail, I did ask multiple of these players, like, what are you going to play next? Like, what do you know where you're going? Are you going to keep playing? Like, I literally just straight up asked him, I asked Colin, are you going to keep playing Set? And he goes, no. And I'm like, I that wasn't surprised by that answer. It's probably more of like a question to like the Yi players and like these like the decks that are really good from set 1 that you can perform well with. But the consensus, as I've seen, and it was very much expecting this, was people are going to be moving on from these set 1 legends for the next RQs for Singapore, Barcelona, and LA to try to get best ofs for these either new legends or legends from set 2 and set 3. But going back, sorry, Eli, you butt in.
I was,
and then I can
real
do...
quick, interesting for the Challenger series in that it's going to have a slightly different meta from RCQs because you can still win set 1 prize wall medal legends, I believe, right?
Oh,
No,
I don't think
You
so.
cannot.
the
It's
Showdown
just set
series
2
is
now.
also the same thing.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, I misunderstood.
So we
that
still
when
have
they announced
the
it.
next 2. We still have PPG and Excalibur.
Yeah. That are still set 1 legends. So those
Wait,
2 events.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about those is that if you just play Ari, it's almost higher EV.
Yeah.
Correct.
The Ari medal is higher EV than top prize.
Which is really interesting.
Which we're gonna get.
Really
I think we won't get you're gonna get multiple Aries going for that.
All right, so
and
there's 200 Aries in the room today. This doesn't look quite as similar as we've seen in other events.
Which I think is just so different than any other games. But going back to your question, Gail, about I don't even remember what is the word here?
Heuristics.
Heuristics.
Oh, heuristics. I'm sorry.
Heuristics.
Well, that might just be the Midwest in me.
I think you said Magic and Riftbound. I think Magic is different because you don't really I think the biggest thing in Magic is when to block and when to not block is one of the big decisions you have to make. And I think for Riftbound is whether to move in or whether to move out of a battlefield is a big decision you have to make. I think those are when you're thinking about winning the game, those are the 2 decision factors. Riftbound obviously is a 2-for-1, and then Magic is just when do I defend if I'm not the beatdown.
In limited specifically, I think that's more of an issue.
But also in standard and in other eternal formats, it also is a big question because you never really know what's coming. I think especially when you get into these eternal formats, but that's not something that needs to be talked about right now. But I think Magic and Riftbound have a lot of similarities because you have to respect the runes or mana that your opponent has up, and you have to know if it's your turn and say I'm facing, again, I'm just going to use Diana for an example, and they have 3 runes up and a purple rune available to recycle, they probably have a Starcrossed in hand or are baiting you to think that. And you have to think, okay, can I play my lines efficiently to where if I do get Starcrossed, is it going to punish me and lose me the game? And I think that is, again, just reflects a reflection of Magic. And I don't know Magic specifics, but I know there are cards that have damage spells, and if you okay, if I try to pull off this combo and go for the attack on my attack trigger when I pass focus, are they going to tap 3 to play a damage spell that is going to kill this creature and I lose the game because of it? And I think that is just there's similarities, there's also differences because Riftbound there's more things going on in Riftbound, in my opinion. Magic has a little more windows to do things. Riftbound, on the other hand, you're just trying to figure, okay, what is my most efficient line without getting punished for what I do.
My favorite part of the entire game of Riftbound is that you can play an entire turn without ever giving your opponent a window to respond. I absolutely love it. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, there's a term called chain blocking, where if you have two effects that are resolving at the same time, you get to order them onto the chain. And you can order the first one onto the chain that you don't want them to be able to interact with, and the second one on top of that chain link. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, you cannot interact between chain links. So by layering it that way, the second one will be interactable, but the first one will not be interactable. It's called chain blocking. This game has a similar concept of chain blocking in which I can play a whole turn of the game without ever opening a reaction window for my opponent and essentially force them to lose the mana that they have up at the time, right? If they have 5 energy up and they're representing a Rengar and I never give them an opportunity to Rengar, unless they themselves can somehow create that window, I have just lost them 5 energy for the entire game. Like that goes into the bank. It's gone away. They don't have that anymore. So I think the skill cap when it comes to this game and just the levels of which you have to understand, and not only understand, but consistently actually demonstrates that you have the knowledge and capability to take advantage of the windows in this game and how it allows you to play is amazing. The skill cap in this game is so high, and every single time I watch a feature match like that Colin Prismac game you're talking about, that was an insane feature match.
Love that game.
Or me too. Or even like the Ezreal Pike control mirror that just happened in this last top.
I did not like that game.
You didn't like it the last words? No, just the the things that you have to be thinking about constantly. It is such a testing game on not just the mind, but the mind, the body, the spirit. You know what I mean? Where it's just like everything goes into playing a good game of Riftbound, and it is phenomenal to watch or play at a high level. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Riftbound,
Then
I think,
I
isn't.
play Infinite Lux.
And then
you play
Gale,
Infinite
and
Lux,
then
and it all goes out the
Gale
window.
comes in here and does all his willy nilly.
Gale,
Like,
Kid Leo was in
cool.
our Airbnb, and Kid Leo played Infinite Lux and went like I think 5-1 or something in the last event, and played an Infinite Lux mirror. And I was like, I cannot think of a worse experience than playing an Infinite Lux mirror match.
I like
that
the
sounds
mirror.
abysmal. Oh,
sounds. I played a LeBlanc mirror round 1 of Super Saturday, and my brain was fried after that.
LeBlanc mirror is fun though.
LeBlanc mirrors are fun. But
yeah.
I feel like they are, but they're also very straightforward in the fact if you can ever get a Rift Herald mirror image trigger off, you just win the game. Like that's what I've learned. Is like how like I did it game 1, he get it. Oh my gosh, he did it game 2, and I did it game 3, and that's how it ended. But it's kind of like if you don't have it, it's the who can get their Rexes and their Karthuses going, who can do the damage to clear your board. Because like he did a really cool play where he hooked a Rex, flipped he had 2 Karthus on board, hooked a Rex, flipped a Watcher, and then brought everything down, was able to kill everything, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like that's why it's fun. Because I'm like, oh wait, that's something I could do as well. And so I
can do that.
Yeah, that's me too. Like I have the power. But yeah, that's kind of our spiels about Riftbound metagame and all that. But we did have a few questions I wanted to pose to you guys about Riftbound's past and present and future. Just because I think we're kind of at a point where we're done with big events, big official events at least. We obviously have these showdown series who are third-party run events, but we have like RQs and all of that are done for set 3. So we're kind of at a nice stopping point. Riftbound's been around for about 8 months now, going on 9 once we hit July. So I have a few questions I want to pose to you guys for the rest of the episode. The first one being monetary value in this game. Ari, the best of Ari, from Hartford, the last one ever, just sold for $115,000. Obviously, we've seen sales like this in the past. Nothing for best of, but we've seen the MF, Diwali's MF from Houston go for $100K. Yep. What does this mean for the future of high-end Riftbound as we start getting into these events where we're going to see more of these rotated out, and also once we get into regional championships and worlds?
I think very clearly there is investments to be had in the game. Mm-hmm. Holding on to these cards is going to be more valuable than selling them immediately. I think that is clear to just about anybody with any amount of financial sense, right? I think these cards will hold their value. So long as Riot keeps their word that they're not going to do any more of the best ofs. Mm-hmm. So I think financially it's fine. And it looks like the best of market has also become very stable. Every best of is generally selling at around the same price range of like 10 to 20. They're all going for about 10 to 20,000. And that's been pretty stable for the past 9 months now. Mm-hmm. Or, 6 months since when we actually started getting the best ofs. So that's a good sign. That seems healthy. That seems stable. That seems like it's going. So the high-end Riftbound in that regard looks like it's going fine. The biggest thing that we need to see is how the RCs are going to handle pricing and what that's going to look like. If the RCs are going to be doing a best of sort of thing, what will that look like? That'll be a very big question. There's a lot of people that don't want to see best ofs at the RC. I don't really want to see best ofs at the RC either.
I think it's gonna be the overnumbered legend.
I think it will be too, Eli. I have the same thought, but I think that'll just make the RCs a mess.
Yeah.
Yes, but then you can also do the signature overnumbers for worlds too.
Signature overnumbers for world.
Signature metal overnumbered for world.
It's just a really tough place for that because the RCs are obviously invite only.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, that means there will be, the napkin math was like 400, 500, 600 people maybe at these events. That's a fourth of some of these RQs.
Yep.
So if we look at the amount of people that are running something like Rumbles or whatever and are able to still get the best ofs, right? we're gonna
Like,
have
you
even
could
less
have-
percentage of that. We could very easily have multiple people on singular legends that just walk in and get a 1 of 2.
Do you think that is a bad thing?
Yes.
I do.
Interesting.
I do.
Why
think
do you
that's
think that's a bad thing? I'm interested to hear your opinions on this because I personally do not view that as a negative. I view that as a positive.
I think that best ofs in general harm the average competitive scene of like an RQ.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's changing the meta. It's obviously changing the meta of what people are playing. And I think that is very fun for the RQs. I think it makes a very fun and interesting competition. But I also believe it is putting so much pressure onto the meta that it's warping what it could actually be. And if we don't have a competition where we never get to see what the real meta of Riftbound is, then we never actually find the problems.
True.
So I can agree with that. I agree with the fact that it makes finding problems more difficult, but I'm going to push back a little bit. Teddy, you could go right after this. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt.
You're good.
I think that if something is enough of a problem to be a true problem, it will push through regardless. And if something needs to be addressed, it will push through regardless. Because if for whatever reason, right, we go to the actual regional championships and we have let's say that like Udyr comes out as a legend and Udyr is absolutely cracked 70% win rate legend. Udyr's obviously a problem at 70% win rate. We know this going into the RQ or not going into the RQ. If it's 70% win rate, that deck is a problem.
Sure.
Do you want to just watch Udyr mirrors all day for a regional? Because I certainly would not want to watch Udyr mirrors all day in League of Legends or in a regional.
That's why it's fine.
I would want the diversity still. And as a viewer, I would still want to watch the breadth of Legends succeed. League of Legends itself actually just went through this with its switch to Fearless Draft over the traditional format that League of Legends esports has held for such a long time, where you could play a champion every single time. What we saw was a stagnation of the meta where everyone was picking Jace top lane every single time. Everyone was running the same jungle pick. It became solved. You would play the same comps into the same comps every time. And that's great for competitive players, but a terrible viewing experience. And I kind of think the same thing about card games. People won't watch card games if it's just a mirror ramming its head into one another over and over again, or it's like a selection of 3 decks just facing off constantly. It just doesn't get the viewership. Yeah. Riot is an esports company. They are very concerned with the viewership. And in my opinion, that is going to propel them to make the decision to keep the best ofs, to keep the meta, even if artificially diverse, still diverse enough to have a good viewing experience at home. So it's a little bit off the cuff, but that is my take on it. Is I don't think they would sacrifice stream quality and quality between the players for just trying to put forth what the absolute best meta is. I don't think that matters as much as player retention and people actually watching the events. Personally.
Sure.
I think my reasoning as to why I'm agreeing with Gail on this is because I don't want to see these players that like are obviously saying they're the best at the game to be forced into something. Like if we go to our regional championships and there's no best ofs, I put money on the fact that Prismatic goes back to Annie and he plays that deck, that we have a storyline from, that we lost that storyline because best ofs aren't available at these next 3 RQs. But then as soon as it is revealed at regional championships that it is best ofs, there's no best ofs. It's just play your best deck. Prismat, I will have like 90% bet that he will go back. He would go back to Annie.
Would he still go back to Annie? Because I would assume that the RC would have the best ofs for everything that hasn't been done yet. So like I assume we'll have Origins over number.
If that's the case, then that's okay. But I understand for viewership, it would be cool to like see like a best of Rumble or whatever, like make a run. But honestly, like if I'm watching these players play their best decks with how this game isn't just a game of like, okay, people are like Pokemon right now is going through a cycle where Dragapult is just the best deck. Like no, everyone's playing it.
That's where my 70% win rate came from, by the way.
I don't think
that was my direct pull.
I don't think Riftbound is a game where that is as big of a factor because people have their like people obviously will lean like Miracle Draven. People leaned a lot into that, but we haven't had a problem like that yet in set 3 since then. And obviously we have a lot to go before our season worlds happen. But I just want to see the best players playing what they are good at, not worrying about these best ofs. I don't want to see like one of these like players who's qualified for the regional championships and saying, I'm going to punt my attempt to get to worlds because I can get a $20,000 card. Like that, like I understand the money is there, but if I'm thinking of best, I want to see these players playing to win. Like we need that in Riftbound, and I don't think that's completely there yet with the best of system.
My argument to that is I don't think Prismat would go back to Annie. I also don't think that Colin would play Set.
Also don't think so.
If you're playing to win, you're playing one of the top 3 decks, or you're playing something that you actually fully believe can win the tournament.
Yep.
Then very often, right? If you are being competitive in that way, that's what you're asking for, right? Is like, okay, I want to see these players play to win and play for Worlds qualification. One, that reduces the EV of them even attending the event in the first place. If I don't think I can actually make Worlds going to the regional championship and I don't have an incentive to go, I'm probably just not going to go, to be honest, because my time is better spent going to an RCQ, right? Where I can win a best of and I actually have monetary incentive to go to the event in the first place. There has to be something. You have to get something for attending this event, even if you are qualified. So for Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals, it's like sleeves and a mat, I think, which is a terrible example. It shouldn't be sleeves and a mat, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh! For you. 0 prize support. Yeah. But you have to get something that like essentially gets you to go in the first place, right? Like then if something gets their hotel paid for and gets their flight paid for, you're going to see way more players actually attend the event than vice versa. And I think that giving the best ofs as a system is a good way to do that because it costs Riot $4 or whatever to pay Displate to make this medal and absolutely nothing else.
Probably more than that. They're kind of nice.
They are nice. They are really nice. It is probably slight, but you know what I mean. You catch my drift. Like it is just it is printing money for Riot and it is printing money for the player base. And I don't think that is ever going to be a bad thing.
I do think that there is a level of unfairness that happens to it. Because if it is what we think it is, where we're saying it's foil plated overnumbered legends, 1 of 2, pretty much. Mm-hmm. How much do you think that would go for? 40, 50, 60 sometimes, maybe? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like you show up, you're the only one of that legend. You got 50, 60,000 for showing up to an event.
But that's where my issue.
That's exactly why I think that there would not only be one player of each of these. You know what I'm saying?
But there will be for one legend, almost guaranteed.
Yes, but the one legend that it's going to be is not going to be the one that sells for $50,000.
They would. I guarantee you they would. One of like 12s are selling for 20. So like one of 2s would sell for.
There's going to be a Rumble enjoyer out there that loves that character so freaking much that's going to say, "Hey, I have the money to pay for this. I will pay $50K for the best of Rumble overnumber."
And they certainly live in China. They absolutely live in China. If what I'm seeing with all these best of sales is correct.
There's also some guy in the US that has like a full set of best ofs. So it's just like, crazy. Well, that's also like a good conversation topic. Will bidding wars happen? Or is it just going to be like, are people going to like, is this going to go for auction? So I'm just going to say, okay, here's my price, take it or leave it. And like, it's just, it's such a crazy thing to think about.
How do you think the best ofs get sold now?
Well, it's just people have a price, and then, like, I was talking with Robert about it, and it's just like, from what I understand, they tell Robert a price. Robert tells the person who wanted a price, and it's yes or no.
Sometimes
that's
how it works.
I would wager
cards
Robert
have so much interest that there is bidding wars on it.
That's why when you go to the site, right? When you go to the best of site that Robert has set up, it doesn't say buy it now $13,000. It says click this if you're interested or you're or like what it is or whatever, and then gets you in contact with Robert, because some of these are going to have more interest, some of these are going to have almost no interest, and they're going to essentially do the buy it now thing for that one. But some of them are going to be bidding wars and stuff like that. Robert, by the way, my God, the best position in all of Riftbound that he got himself into. Like, what an angle shoot to get yourself just like perfectly in the line here of where you need to be. Your bank account is exploding right now. But really, really cool conversation topic for sure. I will say on this note of like the high-end Riftbound space as well, there are going to be things that come out like what was announced today, right? The T1 box set that is announced for Korea. Stuff like that's going to come out and let people that are not really super competitively inclined to go out and win these best ofs still kind of get in on the investing or the monetary side of Riftbound, right? Saw it with the Worlds bundles, saw it with a little bit with the Arcane bundles as well, and some of the other like set one promos. The Origin stamps just went up to like over 100 a piece, I'm pretty sure, as of recording. So a lot of the stuff in that is a little bit more exclusive in the game is rising alongside the best of prizing and a lot of the other things that are happening. So it is, I think, a good time to be invested in Riftbound overall. I think if you are interested in this kind of stuff, there's market analysis and market watch on YouTube. Just search it out. You'll find it. But I think to close this segment a little bit, it is a great time to be investing in Riftbound. Just make sure you are doing it confidently and safely.
Yep.
All right. So this is kind of we've had a lot of fun conversation in this episode, and we're almost near our end. But my final question I kind of want to pose: what has been your guys' favorite memory in Riftbound? If there's like a thing that has stuck out to you so far, a little moment that like maybe isn't like Gale, you winning a best of, which is obviously like a great accomplishment, and like what is like a smaller moment in Riftbound that has stuck out to you that's made you continue with this game in the past 8 months or so? Everyone thinks.
This I know, needs to put be a question sent before.
That's also true.
I can go ahead and start then while Gale is thinking about his answer. So I have two memories. My first memory that really kind of sold Riftbound as a game for me. I pulled I think it was an overnumbered MF in my first ever Riftbound pack I opened. I went to a local game store, cracked open a pack of Origins, and I pulled an overnumber MF. I had no idea what an overnumber was. Zero clue. I thought it was just a cool alt art that I'd pulled, and I was like, wow, the texturing on this is sick. Let's go, Riot Games. UVS knocked this out of the park. And I went up to some people that were in the store playing Riftbound, and I said, oh, look at this cool alt art I pulled. And they didn't try to trade me for it. They didn't try to take it off my hands. They sat me down, talked to me about what this card was, and immediately offered to play a game of Riftbound after showing me that my card was worth a lot of money. That was really nice to me. It was really nice. I was a kid. I think I've told this story on the podcast before, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But I was a kid who was very easy to take advantage of in trading card games, where I would pull a really expensive card and, oh my God, this other guy has a Blue Eyes White Dragon. No, that's a super sick card. Like, I want that one. The Blue Eyes is worth like 30 cents. And the Solar Recharge is worth like $150 or whatever it might be. That does not exist in our community, at least to what I have seen so far. Everybody has been welcoming. Everybody is so interested in allowing not just themselves to have a good time, but their opponents to have a good time as well. Lux players notwithstanding. And it's just a really wonderful community feeling every time I go to a Nexus night or every time I go to something that is hosted locally. We have spawned multiple group hangouts in our local Riftbound group that have nothing to do with Riftbound, just because we want to be around each other more, because we've made such good bonds over this game. So I think that is my first memory that I'd like to posit as just a great beacon of what this community can be starting off. Go ahead, and then I have my second one after.
Oh my God, Eli's too wholesome for this. I'm like, I'm like, wow, how do I have such a where's my nice memory? You know, like I tried to figure out what my nice memory is, and all I can think about is like winning. That's it. That's all.
And that's fine. Different strokes. You know what I mean? Like,
so this was all the way back in trial meta. I loved the trial meta space so very much. I had just learned basically that there was a League of Legends card game, and I'm like, I love League of Legends, so I'm going to join this server. And I kid you not, the entire game was so stitched together with duct tape. It was amazing, actually. There was one sheet of paper for the rules, and everything else we knew about the game, we were stitching together based on what Kelly, one of the rules writers, would type us in the Discord. So that we could play competitive games of Riftbound with the 4 trial decks. And I remember just being very adamant at one point that Jinx was the best deck. Everyone had agreed that Victor was the best deck. And I think it came to a turning point, with like 1 3-set sit down with Willow, who was the community admin and the owner of the server, who's also a very good player. And we played 3 sets, and I win all of them. And then from that point on, it was like Jinx is the best deck. And so there was like this moment where in this small community, I had made a difference to a meta. And that was not something that I had felt or done in my life before. So it was just very affirming in that sense.
Yeah.
And this is before best ofs even happened, before Houston and all that jazz, right in the little server that we made and grew to what it is today.
Yeah. Awesome. That's a really cool memory. I like that a lot. Teddy.
I think mine is, it's very fun because it's fun to look back on, because it was one of our locals. It's with one of our locals that I play a lot before Nexus Nights. But I remember I decided, I had a friend who talked me into playing like Riftbound and trying to learn online. This was like maybe like a month or 2 before we had the full rules doc at this point, so we kind of understood how the game worked, but we were still learning the game. Yeah, quote unquote. But we were still learning. We were trying to figure it out. We played for like a week and then kind of both fell off of it because we got busy during the summer. And I decided, okay, like I kept seeing, oh, Riftbound's coming out this week. It's like, this was a week before the game came out on Halloween of last year. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go try one of these starter deck events. And like, maybe I'll be able to, because like, I think the one I went to, they were the two winners were winning Proving Ground sets. So as I had done my research, I'm like, okay, maybe this will be really good. Like,
I was at that one. So was Gorica.
That's true. This was it's just funny now because the 2 guys who won it are Magic players and don't really play Riftbound much.
I know.
Which is kind of funny, but anyways, my first round ever, I had played Victor. I went 2-1 in this event, only losing in the mirror. But this was like when we had, what's the one battlefield we have 7 or more units there?
Altar of
Grand Plaza.
Grand Plaza. Altar of Unity, the recruit one.
Yeah. But like that was like we were playing with that. Grand Stratagem was a bomb. But the very first game of Riftbound I played, and I look back on this, we had no idea what we were doing. Like it was so funny. I knew, like, as I still remember it vividly. Like we were doing combat wrong. Everything was just not right. But I think it's so cool to see like where, like, I'll talk with him and he'll talk with me. Like where we've grown, he's won multiple skirmishes. I've obviously done well at Hartford, and it's like I look back on that fondly. I'm like, oh, I was just a little bitty baby in the game there, and now like you see the growth and you see like this experience that this game has given to me, and it's been 8 months now, and it's like I feel like I've been playing this game forever, and I think that's really cool. So Eli, why don't you round us out with your second memory?
I definitely will, but first I'm going to say, man, I should have had a Proving Ground set at that event. My opponent hidden bladed the opposite battlefield because we didn't know how it worked. So we didn't know that hidden cards could not target the other battlefield. I was going to hold to win, and I would have had a Proving Ground box set against that Magic player. But alas, I was hidden bladed illegally. All right, funny. Off my soapbox. Yeah. My last memory, and the memory that I think can close this out here for sure, is that it was actually at the RQ in Hartford, so it's a very fast memory. It's not even fully a memory yet. I don't think it's locked into my brain. It's up at the forefront. You know what I mean? But it was against a Victor player. Absolutely wonderful opponent. We chopped it up the entire time. It was a great time. It's Azir versus Victor is the matchup. And unironically, and I do not say this lightly because I'm somebody that takes mistakes very seriously. And when I see myself make a mistake, I never want to do that again, right? Like I am a competitive card game player. I want to play competitively. We played this match perfectly on both sides. It was the best match of Riftbound that I have ever played up to this point. It was blow for blow, incredibly solid. We played around all the correct options. We played our hands to the best capability we could have. I know this of the Victor player because I scuttle crabbed him so I could see his hand. And I've played a lot of Victor. So he played it amazingly, like spectacularly. We get up to the point. He wins game 1. I win game 2. We're on game 3. We are playing very, very well. It gets down to a section. I have a cool Azir line where essentially for 2 hold points, I have a Azir, yellow Azir on a battlefield equipped with a BF sword and a back off hidden that he can't get over. So I hold for 2 turns that way. And I'm essentially trying to bait him to have to hidden blade my Azir to draw me toward my Arise, because Arise is my win condition in this game. And I don't really have a way to win past Arise. I have a way to get onto a battlefield and hold and try to hold to get 2-7 with a guards that can accelerate onto the battlefields. And I know that he's getting low on cards and doesn't have many resources left. And so he hidden blades it. I draw, no Arise. I draw for turn, no Arise. And so I have to take my guards line and accelerate onto the battlefields and go to hold. He is out of cards in hand. He has 1 recruit on this battlefield to the left. He is at 7 points, going to hold if I cannot hold to win. I am at 7 points with my my guards unit. So he's holding 2-7 on his turn, and then I would hold to 8 to win the game on my turn. No cards in hand. He has 0 cards. All of my cards, I'm tapped out. I have the back off faded away because the Azir had left the battlefield with the hidden blade. So I've got no cards hidden, anything. And he just looks at me and he gives a smile. He thanks me for this excellent match of Riftbound that we've played back and forth. And he says, whichever way it goes, this was an awesome match. And then he doesn't even draw the card. He flips the Thousand-Tailed Watcher off the top and accelerates in for the game. And he was right. It was the best round of Riftbound I have ever played, even down to the end where I was top decked, right? I got sacked in this circumstance. He pulled the Thousand-Tailed Watcher on me out of nowhere, and I still felt awesome. I felt like I'd accomplished something, and I felt like the match was just a really solid match and so fulfilling to play. And that's when I realized that Riftbound is the card game for me. I have never felt this way about a card game the entirety of my life. I would have been pissed off royally if that had happened to me in another card game. And here, all I could feel was happiness that I had had such a good game with my opponent. And so that is my final memory of Riftbound for now, and one that I would love to close us out on.
Eli's too sentimental for us. That was good. I really know what to say after that, but I can head us to our outro. I appreciate everyone listening. This was just kind of a fun episode. After Hartford, coming up, obviously, in a few weeks, we start Vendetta reveals for set 4. We're going to start talking about those. Gale, are you going to do your Scuttle Crab reviews? Are those coming back?
They're not going to be Scuttles. I'm changing it every set.
Oh, I see.
We're going to have a different
really good
icon.
rare.
I think it's just going to be like the Mel Diamonds, though.
Oh, okay.
I like that. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys can follow us obviously on X at SM Riftbound, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Super Mega Riftbound. If you guys do want to check out my Hartford vlog that just went up
super cool
a few days ago on the YouTube, so you can check that out there. You can check me out on Twitter at Limited Teddy Gale. Gale wins with 2 S's. Eli at Battle Tested TCG. We see you guys all next week for episode 28.